one of the boys found a second skull and a pretty complete skeleton right next to it.
Who are these two people?
We have no idea. They're probably white, female, late teens. One of them possibly a little younger than the other.
The first skull and set of bones were found Monday by a man running through the brush. The second human skull and additional bones were found yesterday in a wooded area near the Tualatin Country Club by Explorer Scouts. Authorities are treating this case as homicide, but at this point they do not believe it is related to the Green River killings in Seattle.
No, that's not true at all. That's purely speculation, and it's too early to tell. Number one, in talking to the people on the task force, the Green River killings, most of those girls that were killed were street people or prostitutes. When I talk about street people that survive on the street by whatever means, we haven't identified these girls, so we don't have any information as to their background.
Dr. Larry Lumen is Deputy State Medical Examiner. He says about all they do know is that the victims were both female, between the ages of about 16 and 19. One was about 5'1", the other about 5'5". A tuft of brown hair was found on one of the skulls. He explains how he is able to determine the sex of a person by examining the skull.
First of all, there are several things we look at. Overall size. The male skull is just generally bigger than the female skull. The muscle attachments in various areas are considerably more developed. The slope of the forehead. The male forehead has more pronounced eyebrow ridges, and the forehead takes a straighter up angle than the female, who has generally less well-developed eyebrow ridges, and the forehead slopes back more as it does here.
The wooded area where the skeletal remains of the two girls were found has yielded few clues, so it has been up to the State Medical Examiner's Office to determine the approximate height and age of the girls by examining the remaining bones.
These lines will close over a period of years. Generally, all of the long bones are pretty well closed by 20 or so. The fact that these are not closed and are clearly visible means that the individual is under 20. And if you look at the entire broad picture, they're probably mid to late teens.
Also working on the case is Dr. John Lundy, one of the few forensic anthropologists in North America.
We try to get as individual the information as possible. That's why we look for antemortem fractures and that we can match with medical records and things to try and set this person apart from all other females that are 16 years old. Sometimes we have success, sometimes we don't. It just depends on the luck of the draw with what kind of material we're able to recover.
In making positive identification, teeth are still the traditional method. But in one case, it was the painstaking job of gluing a skull back together that led Dr. Lundy to an answer.
I was able to put it together and find an entrance wound in one side and an exit wound in the other. It was a Tillamook County case, and about 3 months ago I testified in court, and we obtained a homicide conviction based on that. But until we put it all together, we didn't really know what was wrong with it or what had happened.
Dental records and x-rays are one of the most promising tools. This is an x-ray of the skull and teeth of one of the girls. Notice a tiny pin in the front tooth, a small but possibly very important key to her identity.
You take that, and then you take the pattern of 2 or 3 of the restorations in the teeth, and all of a sudden you have an absolutely airtight kind of identification. If you find antemortem films or records that show those same features.
And those are the little tiny things that they're looking for.
Oh yeah, absolutely.